Rotary Interactive Quarantine. We are a network of Interact students and youth exchange from all around the world. Remember that you can find us on social media. Tag us on Instagram, Facebook, and if you want to email us, this is our email address. To start our meetings, we start with the four-way test as any Rotary meeting. And I'm gonna ask right now to please the leadership team of Interactive Quarantine to join me in the four-way test. So the four-way test of the thing we think, say, or do.
First, is it the truth?
Is it fair to all concerned?
Will it build goodwill and better friendships?
Fourth, will it be beneficial to all concerned? Thank
you. It's a great way to start our meeting to remember what are the things that we need to follow. Just a really quick reminder, you guys can apply for the Interact Advisory Council 2021-2022. The deadline is in December, and if I believe December 20th, you can be part of this first Interact Advisory Council that RI is offering us. So please think about that. You can sign up to be speaker in one of our meetings if you have an Interact project that you would like to share. We meet twice a month. This is our last official and formal meeting for this year, but we will have more meetings next year, so you can always share your project. And if you would like for us to go to your club or your district to speak about interactive quarantine, just text us, text me, Vincent, Beatriz, everybody here could, schedule a meeting for your club or your district. That being said, I'm so excited to pass this over to Vincent, who's gonna introduce our two Rotarian speakers and our interactor, Beatriz.
Thank you, and hey everyone. Our first speaker of today will be Mr. Darren Hans. He is the president of Plymouth Rotary in England, and he is a board member of the Rotary Action Group on mental health initiatives. In 2017, he founded the Rotarians for a mental health awareness campaign, Don't Bottle It Up, a campaign to trying to break down the stigma of mental health issues. He's board member of the Rotary Action Group on mental health initiatives and was a panelist at the 2020 Rotary International Convention breakout session on mental health. So please welcome Mr. Darren Hands.
Thank you very much for that introduction. I will just call my screen up so I can share my presentation here. So bear with me a second, everyone. Hopefully it's going to work. Great stuff. Okay, so thank you ever so much for inviting me today. It's a great pleasure and honor to speak to you guys all around the world today on this topic. It's quite a short topic, but it's great to also see Leslie here today as well, because I've spoken to Leslie a few times over the last few months. We share a passion for mental health initiatives, and I know she's doing some great projects as well. But as I mentioned, I'm going to talk about a project or an awareness campaign that I started here in the UK about 3 or 4 years ago. Now, before I start, I always put this disclaimer, for want of a better term, at the start of my talk. I am not a mental health care professional. My professional background is in finance and in compliance. I'm an internal auditor by trade. Only last weekend, I actually qualified as a mental health first aider. So that's given me a few tools to speak a bit more confidently on mental health issues. There are sort of 5 things the mental health first aid course focuses on, and that's given me tools to assess and assist in the crisis, listen and communicate non-judgmentally, give supporting information, encourage appropriate professional help, and encourage other forms of support and help. And the reason I put those last 3 in red, because when I started this campaign 3 years ago, that was pretty much what I was looking to try and do. So it was quite nice to be vindicated over the last couple of weeks in doing the mental health first aid course to see that what we've tried to do as Rotarians is not too far off what some of the professional courses are trying to teach people to actually deal with. So how did the campaign start? As I say, it started about 3 years ago. It's our district conference. I was in charge of the speaker program. And at the time, or for one of the plenary sessions for the conference, we had a topic on mental health initiatives. And that led us to think, what can we do as Rotarians to help in this particular field? Now, going back 10 or 12 years ago, I imagine many of you guys being in Interact might not be too familiar with this Rotary campaign, but the End Polio campaign back then had a awareness campaign called This Close to Ending Polio. It was very much with the personalities and the people involved, it was very much geared towards the Americas. And over here in the UK, a lot of the people in it, most people here in Britain would not recognise. But Rotary International had actually made the template available to Rotarians to use, which a lot of people didn't actually pick up on. I did, however, and so I got a lot of UK-based personalities involved, sports stars, Olympians, TV celebrity chefs. So I got them involved in the campaign, and it was a very successful campaign over here in the UK. But that gave us an idea, because it was a very visual campaign which people could resonate to. And as I say, it gave us an idea, and it led to this Don't Bottle Up awareness campaign. As you can see, it's very similar to the This Close to Ending Polio campaign. And one thing that I keep very close to my heart, I actually met Frank Devlin at our district conference a few years ago. Sadly, he passed away just a few months ago, but back in 2001, when he was the International Rotary President, he had a theme for the year, Create Awareness, Take Action. And I think that is something that as Rotarians, or as members of a Rotary family, so Interact, Rotaract, I think it's something very key to what we can do. We can create the awareness and take action, even if we are not necessarily professionals in the particular field. Now, with mental health, there could be many different types of things that can trigger mental health issues. I'm not going to go too much into that, because, as I say, I'm not a mental health care professional, but certainly over the last 9 or 10 months with the COVID situation, and I imagine you guys many of you being students would have been affected as well, having to learn from home perhaps. There's been a lot of anxiety developing. Certainly I've seen it with students over here in the UK. With adults, depression, but it could also be things like drug and alcohol dependency can trigger mental health issues. But all too often, though, people bottle these things up. Now, when we first started the campaign, I thought it was very much a British thing, the British stiff upper lip, certainly with men. Men over here in the UK, we do not talk about our feelings. So I thought it's very much a British thing, but certainly over the last 10 or so months, when I've talked about this to Rotarians all around the world, I've seen that it's not just a British thing, certainly with guys, in bottling things up. And we just need to get people talking about these issues. And sometimes just by talking about it, just helps get it off your chest, and it can help in a massive great way. The next couple of slides, I'm not going to read out verbatim. There's a lot of statistics here, but there's two on this particular slide I want you to take note of. 1 in 4 people experience a mental health issue every year. Now, that figure, when I initially got it, was based on UK statistics, but from speaking to people around the world, that figure is pretty much universal around the world. 1 in 4 people will directly experience a mental health issue each year. But we mustn't forget about the other 75% of people, families, friends, work colleagues. Those people can be indirectly affected as well, and sometimes they need help as well. The other statistic I want you to just remember for a minute, here in the UK, every 2 hours, a man under the age of 45 takes their own life. So they it's a horrible term to use, but they successfully complete suicide every 2 hours. This is just some statistics here, a couple of years old, just showing how wide a problem mental health issues are around the world. And you can see here, depression, anxiety are two of the biggest areas of mental health illness. We can also see that alcohol and drug use are quite high there as well. But if you remember that statistic I gave you just a second ago, every 2 hours, a guy under the age of 45 tries to take his life here in the UK. Now you can see where the UK is on this particular slide here. This is successful suicide cases per 100,000 people in the population. And you can just see that the United States is 1.5 times the figures for the United Kingdom. But just look at Russia, Ukraine, South Korea, especially with the split between men and women. Men are shown in blue here, women are in red. So if you think about it, every 2 hours, one guy under the age of 45 commits suicide in the UK. Just imagine how bad that statistic would be in somewhere like Russia. It's a horrendous thought. And a lot of it comes down to, again, the stigma of mental health and people just not talking about it by and large. So going back to the awareness campaign, we wanted to do something very similar to the This Close to Ending Polio images. So here in the UK, I started approaching members of parliament who had a passion for mental health issues, musicians, sports personalities, actors and actresses, people that the general public would hopefully recognise. And I've managed to get some quite big names here. I've got international rugby players, musicians who have had #1 hit singles here in the UK and around Europe. And it's people who are keen to help get that message across. And on their social media, on their own social media platforms, so Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, etc., they share these images, just trying to help get the message across that it's okay to talk about things. And if I'm happy to talk about issues, you should be as well. But also over the last 9 months, during the COVID situation, I've been off work, I've been furloughed, so I've not been in work. I've been visiting Rotary clubs all around the world. And as I've spoken to Rotary clubs, more and more have wanted to get involved. And I would say probably the number of Rotarians compared to what I would call personalities taking part probably outstrip those personalities, probably by about 3 to 1 now. And this is just a small snapshot of some of the guys from around the world in the Rotary family who are taking part. And it's interesting that in your particular group, it's not just Interact or RADA, but it's also Youth Exchange, because the young girl in the not quite the bottom left corner, but 2 in from the bottom left there, that's a girl called Erica. She's from Canada, and she's actually a Youth Exchange student sponsored by the Rotary Club of St. John North East. And I think she went on an exchange trip to Switzerland. When she heard about the campaign, straight away she got in touch with me and said, I want to be part of this. And again, especially for Rotarians, members of Rotary family, we're helping through our social media channels to share the message that it is okay to talk about things. Don't bottle it up. Now, what we did here in the UK, and I'll explain a bit more about what we're trying to do worldwide in a second, but we also created the website Rotarians for Mental Health. So on that, we've got a number of the images that you've just seen for the Don't Bottle It Up campaign. But we thought, what else can we do here? Now, we need to be careful that certainly here in the UK, and I think it's also relevant in America as well, and probably other parts of the world as well, where there's a sort of a blame and claim culture so because we're not experts, and the vast majority of Rotarians are not experts in mental health, we cannot really sort of prescribe treatment or say you must go to this source of help or you must go to that source of help. But what we can do is we can provide a directory of help that is out there for people so that they can then choose the best help for them should they see fit to seek help. So we've put a directory here in the UK of the various groups who provide it, and it could be things like our National Health Service, the Mental Health Foundation. There's one group here, Andy's Man Club. They're a self-help group growing month on month. They were formed, is actually formed by the best friend of someone who'd committed suicide. He'd said at the time, if only I'd known about it, I could have talked to him. They formed these self-help groups around the country here in the UK, where every Monday night they meet up. And the club in Plymouth will do exactly the same as the club in Exeter or in London or in Nottingham. They ask the same 5 questions in the group. So if you're away from your home city, you should be able to find a group doing exactly the same as you would normally. And it's just people who've pretty much gone through similar sort of issues as yourself. And it's just someone to talk to. But what we're looking to do at the moment, over the last few weeks, I've made contact with an American Rotarian from the Montgomery, Alabama Rotary Club, and she is helping me to try and get into the sort of American side of things as well, and she's going to be helping me to build on this with American sources. And likewise, there's also a Rotarian friend of mine in India who's also going to be trying to work on this as well, so we can sort of not necessarily build a global directory of support, but at least we can provide a directory of sorts, knowing it's not going to be every group available out there, but at least we can say to people, look, it's okay to talk about your issues. Here are some of the groups who can provide help. Please use them. As I was mentioned earlier on, I'm part of the Rotary Action Group on Mental Health Initiatives. On their website, there are some great projects for not just Rotary clubs, but even Rotary and Interact clubs can get involved with. And as was mentioned, we've got the Rotarians for Mental Health website. So what can we as members of the Rotary family do? The easiest thing is, especially on things like when it's World Mental Health Week, Suicide Prevention Day. I know sometimes these are sort of national days, because I think the National Suicide Prevention Day here in the UK is different to say that in the United States. But on those particular days, we can share the Don't Bother Up images, just trying to get the message out. We can share details of the Rotarians for Mental Health website and also the Rotary Action Group. We can undertake mental health first aid courses just so we're better prepared, so that if we come across people, certainly in places like colleges, etc. I work for a training establishment, and I've seen that a number of our students do struggle with mental health. So a number of our staff have become mental health first aiders, so we can identify people who may need help, so we can try and help direct them to get the professional help that could help them. And clubs can even start their own projects. There's a club in my own district. They've basically formed a drop-in cafe at a local college in Cornwall, where once a week people can come in, have a cup of coffee or a cup of tea, and just talk to someone, not necessarily professional, but just talk to people about any particular issues they've got, just to try and get things off their chest. At the end of the day, though, if nothing else, if we can just try and help end the stigma about mental health issues. One question I've been asked before is, how would I deem this campaign to be a success? If we can just get one person to seek help, then, and if that means that person doesn't try to commit suicide and they get the help they need, to me, that's a success. If we can, but as I say, if we just need to try and break that stigma about mental health issues and say to people, it is okay to talk about mental health. Whether we refer to it as mental health or mental well-being, I know some countries prefer to talk about it as mental well-being rather than mental health, but we just need to be talking about it. So that's my presentation. That's what we're trying to do. As I say, we started it here in the UK, and certainly over the last 9-10 months, it's become a truly global campaign, and it'd be great for interactors like yourself to get involved. And as I say, on certain days and weeks of the year, when there's big national campaigns going on, please share those pages, those images on your Facebook pages, etc. So thank you very much.
Thank you. We appreciate a lot, your initiative and the fact that we can get involved in it as well. I will be more than happy to review it and participate. I think mental health is really, really an issue that we wanted to take action. When we were talking about doing a global Interact project, the first topic that we thought was about mental health. We can, speak about that later on. So as Vincent said in the chat, if you guys have any questions, you can either put it in the chat or you can unmute yourself, raise your hand and unmute yourself and ask the question. So do we have any questions? We will wait a couple of seconds and see if somebody has a question. Either way.
One. It's not like really a question, but I would like to ask about the website. Can you put in the chat or send us later for it to be easier to us to subscribe our projects and see what other clubs are doing to inspire us to make other projects, please?
I will put that in the chat in a second, okay? No problem.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm pretty sure we're gonna have a couple of interactors joining and getting involved in it. If we don't have any more questions, we have Mr. Darren contact information. If some of you have further questions, or you can check the website, I'm pretty sure he will be more than happy to answer them. I'm gonna pass over once again to Vincent to introduce our next speaker. Vincent, you're muted.
Well, after this, I would say very deep presentation, very interesting presentation. We do have our next Rotarian speaker, Mrs. Leslie Glass. She is the author of the 2021 Teen Guide to Health. Sounds very interesting. And she is the co-founder of the Reach Out Recovery with her daughter, Lindsay. Together, the mother and daughter launched their recovery advocacy and teen prevention work after experiencing teen addiction. Teen Addiction and Recovery in Lindsay's teen years. Their award-winning documentaries include The Secret World of Recovery from 2016, ASMM Media Award, and the PBS Special Teen Prevention documentary, The Silent Majority, distributed by the American Public Television in 2014-2015. Leslie served as a commissioner on the Middle States Commission of Higher Education and is the New York Times best-selling author of 9 crime novels. Currently, Lindsay is the author of the 2020-21 Teen Guide to Health, a project appropriate to teens of all ages that can be easily distributed digitally worldwide to help teens learn the basics about mental health and how they can help themselves and others. So that sounds super interesting, and I'm super happy and honored to introduce Mrs. Leslie Glass.
Thank you, Vincent. I'm so excited to be here because I have, let's see, I'm spotlighted here. Okay, so I'm so excited to be here because I believe that Rotary has the opportunity to change the mental health prospects for teens and families all over the world. I think you are the future, not only the future of Rotary, but the future of mental health and health in general. So I'm very excited to be talking to you. I'm going to, first I'm going to say that I spent a lot of years killing people for a living, and I enjoyed being a mystery writer very much. And when my own children started experimenting with drugs and alcohol in their teen years, I'm not going to tell you how long ago, but I switched my careers from trying to kill people to trying to save them. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to explain why I do what I do and how you can take part in it. So I'm going to share my screen. And here we go, desktop. Let's see if this works. Hello. Okay. Am I here? Wait a minute. Wait a minute. Give me a second. I should be technology fantastic because here we go. This is what I do. All right, so here we're going to start with teen mental health, what every teen needs to know. And I'm going to screen down. So imagine yourself wherever you are in the world. What do we teach our children? What do we teach our children from the minute that they're born? And that is to conform to cultural norms without question. So wherever we are, we're going to be hearing messages about how we need to be. So the messages that we receive are behave well for family harmony, achieve at school to follow family dreams and aspirations. Peer pressure is for us to fit in at school. If you're in a family with trauma, keep secrets about mental health and substance and alcohol use and other traumas that the families may have experienced either in war or with discrimination or many other things. Follow family and cultural norms without question, because that's how we're going to get along really well. So I'm just going to tell you a few of the messages that I received. One, and I grew up kind of in two cultures, Chinese and American. My American family called me a girl child and an ugly one. And my Chinese family often said I was triple stupid. So those are the messages that I have going down with me from my earliest days. So once you're told that you're a girl child and an ugly one, because your culture, for one reason or another, and we're not going to bash any cultures because or change any cultures. What we want to do is to be able to learn how to take the messages that we're hearing from the outside and keep ourselves healthy and be able to stay safe no matter what kind of messages you're receiving. So, so here are the things that teens are insecure everywhere because of the messages that they receive, because no matter where you are, no matter who you are, you're not going to be able to live up to everything that your family or your culture wants you to be. So here are the things. So I'm still insecure and paralytically shy because of the messages that I received as a child. And I don't know why. You know, in many cultures, girls are not as valued as boys, but if boys are not athletic in societies or communities where athletics matter, they're at a disadvantage too. So nobody is completely secure about everything. Here are the ways that that teens cope about their insecurities. They overachieve to please their parents. So if your family doesn't think you're attractive, you may want to overachieve, and guess what? That's what I did. Self-harm, rebel, or have behavioral issues. Have a food disorder to look better or dull the pain. Isolate to cover for shyness and social anxiety. And this is the important one for you guys: succumb to risky peer pressure because you want to fit in. And the other one is what Darren talks about: silently slide into depression because you can't talk about it. So without mental health education, and most teens in the world do not receive any. Teens are clueless about what makes them healthy and how to take care of themselves no matter where they are or what's happening to them. They can't evaluate what's happening to them emotionally or at school because they have no guidelines about what healthy is. They don't know how to feel all right when depressed or suicidal or have experienced abuse. And this is what Darren talks about, because who are you going to talk to? You know, Ghostbusters. So you're too ashamed to ask for help, or there's no one to ask for help. And then you're at risk for self-harm, experimenting with substances and alcohol, and make poor choices of friends. So NIDA, which is the National Institute of Drug, and it's the American NIH of mental health, shows that teens want to be healthy. Wherever you are in the world, you want to be healthy. And we know that prevention does work, but it depends on what kind of prevention programs are being offered. So teens and children are open to learning the facts that help them make healthy choices. So if you offer them the facts, they will do better. Teens, on the other hand, do shut down in programs that tell them just not to do something. Like, what teens are taught in this country, or where I am right here, the mental health in the school, they go they have their temperatures taken, they have their weighed, and they're taught sexual abstinence. That's what they're taught. There have been billions of dollars spent on anti-bullying and drugs and alcohol campaigns and impulse control. But none of these things work because they may work for some kids, but not for all kids, because you need to be able to talk to the whole human and not just the sex part, or not just the anti-bullying part, particularly if you're living in a culture where bullying, or living in a family where bullying is the norm. So as Darren said, mental health is stigmatized and ignored pretty much everywhere. In this country, in the United States, it's the law that mental illness and drug abuse is treated at the same level as physical illnesses, but insurance doesn't like to cover addiction and mental illness. And the lack of coverage in this country makes it seem unimportant. So family secrets about mental health and substance issues. Family keeps secrets about abuse, trauma, emotional difficulties. And this is true wherever you are in the world. Your family they may want to protect you about the family history. But in general, mental health is not taught and not funded worldwide. So let's look at what mental health is, because this is the bottom line. So mental health is your emotional, your psychological, and your social well-being. And so your mental health affects how you think and feel and act. It determines how you handle stress, relate to others, make healthy choices. It helps prevent substance use and addiction among teens, adults, and seniors. And I do want to add that in this country, adults and seniors are drinking and using drugs more now than ever before. I think that the pandemic may have something to do with it, but even before that, boredom, loneliness at any age can create substance use problems. Now, the other thing is that your mental health affects your physical health. A lot of people don't know that, but your stress can cause a wide number of physical illnesses. So Darren has already gone through all of this, but I'm going to just give you this slide very quickly. Once again, 50% of all Americans will experience a mental illness at some time in their life. This is probably a worldwide a number. You know, half of us are going to experience something at some point in their life. 43.8 million Americans experience a mental illness. And 50% of, here's the one that's very important for you. 50% of all mental illnesses start by the age of 14 and 75% by the age of 24. So, and in this, and suicide is the second leading cause of death among people aged 10 to 34. So this is important statistic for any country. Now, when we talk about mental illness, this is what they are. Generally, when they say people are going to experience some form of mental illness, the most common are anxiety disorders, very, very common among teens, including panic disorder, obsessive compulsive disorder, and phobias, that's being afraid of something, depression, bipolar disorder, and other mood disorders. And then we've got the eating disorders, the personality disorders, post-traumatic stress disorder, and psychotic disorders, including schizophrenia. So this is what Reach Out Recovery is, and it's worldwide. I'm always very surprised when I look at the people who are on Reach Out Recovery. They're from Beijing, India, the Philippines, people from all over the world, and they can't even read it. I mean, how many people actually speak English? And I don't know, but what I'm seeing is that people all over the world are looking at this website. And basically it has a youth component, it has a parenting component, it has a lot about drugs and alcohol. And this is just the homepage. But basically for the last 9 years, my daughter Lindsay and Lindsay lives in California, and she's not a teen anymore. She's 40, but she has been in recovery for 20 years. So Lindsay and I have been working on this website, which has been free to the public for almost a decade. And our goal is to create a database of information where people can go to find out. You see, I can't touch that that hamburger menu that right there on the top right, but if you scroll down, it has relationships. You can learn all about toxic relationships, healthy relationships, family relationships, family dysfunction, what makes a family functional, what are characteristics of healthy families. And here's one that says mask up. The mask mandate, is it unconstitutional? And the answer is no. So this is Reach Out Recovery. You can go and learn a lot about mental health. So what Reach Out Recovery does, and once again, like Darren, I am not a mental health expert, but I have been working with teens for the last decade. And what I have discovered with the teens that we've been working with who have been interns at Reach Out Recovery, and I invite all of you to reach out to me. We'd love to have some voices from around the world talking about your experiences with mental health, your experiences with addiction, or in your family, in your school, in your community. So what Reach Out Recovery does is we explore everything that has to do with behavioral health. So it's not only about substance abuse, it's about grief, it's about, you know, say you have a sibling who's in trouble, you can get help in lots of different ways. But we simplify the language, psychological and medical information so that it's available and you can understand it at a 5th grade reading level. So here we go to how do we teach mental health? Generally, what I believe is that if you teach the facts about what makes people healthy, because there are 3 pillars of health that make people healthy. One is your physical health. And often in many cultures, people think if they're healthy physically, that means they're healthy. But that's only one component to what makes you healthy. So there's also your emotional health. And this is something that is that's particularly important to learn at a teenage level, because once you learn what it's all about to be emotionally healthy, you never forget it. It's like learning to ride a bike. And the third component is how to be healthy socially. So these are the 3 pillars of health. And I don't know anybody here in the United States that teaches them all together. Sometimes, you know, you can learn what it takes to be healthy. You can learn what it takes to be emotionally healthy. You know, what are our social interactions? That has to do with our relationships not only with our all the people around us, but also with our social interactions at school and our digital interactions as well. So once we know what makes us healthy, which is the 3 pillars of health, it's easy to learn and you never forget it. And once you learn these components, then you can find your way to finding the people to talk to who can help you. So this is what I've spent 3 years working with a science teacher here about for this book. So what the Teen Guide to Health does is it brings together the 3 pillars of health. It explains, and it's so simple. It's only 90 pages and most of it is pictures. So it explains body and brain development. It shows how all the components of health work together. It tells how substances and alcohol impact body, brain, and emotional development. And it empowers teens to make healthy choices. So then if we go down to here, it's like a simple roadmap that every teen needs to get to stay healthy. It's just 94 pages. And it's a prevention tool that answers questions and gives facts to empower teens to make healthy choices. Now, what I would like to do is to engage the teens of Rotaract to create some activities around this book, because I haven't done it yet, and I need a teacher or teens to help so that this book could be shared with other teens around the world. And I want you all to have it and take a look at it, and then think about how can we engage other groups to be able to use this book and get it distributed around the world. So one of the things that we're working on with Darren's group, with the RAGME Mental Health initiative, is just to take one chapter, which is the substance abuse chapter, and put it into a toolkit that's available around the world. But I would love it if everybody would have the opportunity to see it. So that's how dense the text is, not bad. So, what else? So it is a valuable resource and starting point for teen mentoring worldwide. So what I'd like to do is I'd like to engage you in reading the book and seeing if you would like to either reach out to me to and write for Reach Out Recovery, or start a project with the Teen Guide to Health. Questions?
Oh my God, I'm sorry. My question is where do I have to sign up? For real, this is my real question.
Okay.
How do I get involved?
Okay, so just come down here. Thank you, everyone. Thank you for listening. So here I am. It's Leslie at reachoutrecovery.com. Write to me, anybody. So here are the things that we could do. So this book was just finished a few weeks ago. So it's brand new. We're engaging a school here to work with it. It's the Sarasota Military Academy, and their diplomat program is going to be working with teens to use this book. And I think they have a Rotaract club as well. So what I'd like you to do, Annie, and the rest of you, is to think about, first of all, I'm going to get the book in your hands. Second of all, I want you to think about what kind of projects we could develop for teens worldwide. I've had so many interns at Reach Out Recovery who don't know the basics about what keeps them healthy. And that's why we wrote this book. So it's not just about being physically healthy. You can be physically not healthy and be so emotionally healthy. You can be missing a limb. You can be a girl child and an ugly one. You can be from a country that doesn't value your gender identity, and you can still be very healthy. So what's important is to be able to, some teens and adults have said to me, if only I knew that it wasn't my fault that my father is an alcoholic, or it isn't my fault that I was abused, or it isn't my fault that my family is displaced, that it could change the whole trajectory of someone's life. So by all means, contact me. I will make sure that you all have the link for the download so that you can download the book. And we could make a big project about this, create different, what is emotional health, and do some projects around that. What is physical health? What is social health? And all of those things that bring together how we can be safe wherever we are in the world, no matter what's happening to us, because we know terrible things happen, but we can endure and we can be all right if only we know how. So thank you for letting me talk to you. I'm so impressed by all you guys. And
Thank you.
So so what I'll do, Annie, is you have recorded this, so you have it.
Yes.
You have this. Okay, so you and I will correspond, and anybody else have a question?
Well, either way, they can contact you if they have further questions. If we have any more questions, I am pretty sure Ms. Leslie will be more than happy to answer.
Yes.
Now we have Mr. Barry.
Yeah, I just wanted to say that I was impressed with Leslie's presentation. She's in my Sarasota Bay Rotary Club. And is the book available in more than just English at this time?
No, and this is the project that I want to get started, Barry. But first, this book could be translated into every language. I mean, it very easily. And Reach Out Recovery also could be translated into other languages. And this is the project that I would love to get Rotary involved in doing that. So I know that that the number one number of people on Reach Out Recovery last week were from Paris, and the second group was from India, and the third was from Beijing. So I know that people all over the world are looking on the website. I'd love to translate and also translate it into different languages, but also create groups of information. This is for teens. This is for seniors, this is for parents, this is for, and we could do this very easily if we had the Rotary backing to create projects around the different components, relationships, family dynamics, and all of those things. So yes, this is the Rotary project that we can do to eradicate mental illness around the world. Nothing ambitious about that.
Some of the interactors could accept that as a challenge.
Yes,
Exactly.
absolutely. And today we have an interactor sharing with us what is their mental health project in their district. We are gonna share. She's gonna share with y'all. She's from Brazil. Her name is Beatriz Nogueira de Lourenço, and hope I said it right. Beatriz, she is member of the Interactive Quarantine leadership team, but she's also president of the project committee of the CODE, which is the Union of District Interactive Representative in São Paulo, Brazil, if I'm right. They have a wonderful project where they provide support to district interactive representative, to leadership, to the leaders of the district when they are having pressure and issues. So I'm gonna let her talk about it. I don't really know. We are here to learn. We are so happy, Beatriz, to have you with us.
Thank you, Annie. Good morning, afternoon, or night to everyone. I'm so happy to be here and present this project. I will share my screen to you to take a look a little better with what the project is. Are you guys seeing?
Yes.
So first, it's loading. But first, the name of the project is Converse sobre isso, that in Portuguese means, in literal translation, talk about it. And it's about to talk about issues that we don't have the opportunity to be this. So this project is of Rotary Paulista, and I will talk a little bit about it later. I'm Beatriz Nogueira de Lourenço, as Annie said. I am Vice President and Secretary of my club, Interactive Club de Lorena. I also Vice Interactive District Representative of 4571 and President of the Project Committee of Rotary Paulista and member of the Project Committee of RAQ. So I would like to start talking about what is Rotary Paulista. So here in Brazil, we have 31 districts around all the country. And just in São Paulo state, we have 9 of them. So, and some of them just doesn't take just a part of São Paulo, they also have part of other states. Like for example, 4571, we take a part of São Paulo and a part of the state of Rio de Janeiro. So these 90 districts is part of Rotary Paulista. And we are like, like a district representative to help all the districts. So we have a project committee, we have a public image committee, we have president, vice president, directors, and all of that. So here we divide us, Rotary Paulista in the means in English, Council of District Representative of the State of São Paulo. So it's the 9 districts. We have our board of directors with a president, a vice president, a secretary, a teacher. We also have directors and coordinators. We have our committees like project, public image, that is like marketing committee. We have our Rotary committee, we have our social inclusion committee, and a lot of more. We also have our Rotary interventions to help us during all of it and help us to think about the details that we can make and let this pass. So first, this project, we start to create this for Interact District Representative, Interact Vice District Representatives, and Interact Assistant Representatives. That's like the leadership of each district. In Brazil, we have like, as Rotary has in their districts with a governor and all of the committees, we also have this in Interact in Brazil. So we have all the structures in each district. And our project to help them to deal with all the pressure that comes with their positions. Because they have to deal with a lot of clubs, a lot of Rotarians, a lot of interactors, and a lot of Rotaractors. And sometimes they don't have a space like to be really open about their feelings and really say, oh my God, I am so tired of something, or I am so, I have so much pressure on my shoulders. So we make this project to help them to talk about it. So what do we do? First, we send them a link to anonymous forms so they can write the situation, write their questions, or if they need to help with some situation, they can just put there. We do a document with all the answers and send it to a psychologist. So she or he, in the first one was she. They can prepare themselves to answers of the questions and to be to get their better answers. So we schedule a day, and then our target audience and a psychologist comes, and and the psychologist talk about the answer that he received before, and if someone was comfortable to ask them in that time, they can. We did the form to help them with the shy of talking about it, because it's anonymous, they don't have to be worried about, oh my God, someone will know that it was me, or oh my God, I have shy of it. So we did this anonymous. If someone's comfortable to talk by themselves, it's okay. So here is a picture of our first edition. It was in September 19, and we are also planning our second one on the third week of January. So here you don't have all of them because it was in the little end of the meeting, but all the feedbacks that we received, they really love this project because they could be open without think about what they will say. For example, we have some vice district representatives that says, oh my God, I feel I'm doing nothing. I feel that my district representative don't tell me to do anything. They don't let me do anything. So the Pascal gives some tips about, okay, so here we need to talk with them, because if they don't know, if they do this, how they can make it better. So we have this really conversation. It was really good. So this is other activities that us as a Cored do. So this first one is Inspirando São Paulo, in literal translation is Inspiring São Paulo State. It's about share projects of the clubs in our social media. So every month we send a form, the club answer these forms, and we choose one project of each category. The second one was the Paulista Interact Week, Opportunities that Transforms the World. Here we have each day of the week, you have a idea to the interactor developed. So one day was, okay, post a photo of your favorite event, your favorite project, and to us to think about, okay, I am interactor, I like to be interactors, and why I'm here, why I still be an interactor. So during this pandemic, this quarantine, that we can't meet us together like presential. We also have our store. It will be a t-shirt, a cup, and things like this. We have the Inform São Paulo. This is about to see the aides of Interactor, what they like to do, what language they speak, how much time they're in the program. So then we can personalize the project to then to be better with this, to be better of helping. And a sua voz importa, that means your voice matters. That is to provide tips about oratory and how interactors can get better with this. And this last one that will be occurred today, actually now, it's our, I can't find a word to really describe what is roda de conversa, but it's like a presentation about social inclusion, and to us Then we talk about how is a life of people with disabilities and how we can help them and how we can combat capacities. So this was really good and is occurring today all over the afternoon. And so follow us on social networks, Instagram, Twitter, or Facebook. We are more than help. If you have any doubts, we can ask. Yeah, we planning this for the districts, but you can adapt this to be to your club, like for your members. We can make this for your other club with other clubs of your district. So yeah, that is it. Thank you all for your attention.
Thank you so much, Beatriz. I think this is a great project. As leaders, teen leaders, we feel overwhelmed a lot of times, a lot. Rotary can be a lot sometimes, and it's great that you have that space and that opportunity for the leaders of your districts to talk about it. I think it's awesome. I think every district should have like a department of mental health for their leaders. So whenever the presidents or the vice president or everybody feels bad, they can reach out to somebody in their district that understand what Rotary is, that can help us out. So thank you so much. I don't know if you have any questions. I'm sorry.
In fact, we look for a psychologist that was in Rotary, that is a Rotarian or a Rotaractor, so they know what is to be in Rotary, what is to be in Interactive, and how they can do like more specific advices to deal with that, knowing what they really pass or have a better idea what they pass.
I think that's awesome. We are on time actually. It's 11, but if we have any more questions, I think we can take a couple of minutes to answer them. Either way, you guys can always reach out to Beatriz or to Interactive Quarantine and we get to her. We are so excited to be talking about this, and I think we're gonna do a project about mental health in Interactive Quarantine, like a global Interact project about that. So do we have any questions or comments? Miss Leslie.
I would just thank you, Beatriz, for that wonderful presentation. And thank you, Darren. And thank you all for participating. I think what you're doing is so valuable and important. And I just want to say thank you and have a very safe and healthy holiday season this season.
And say thank you to you. I will read your book to see how you can do this project even better. Thank you so much.
I want to hear what you have to say. Absolutely.
And I'd just like to echo Leslie's comments there, sort of thing. It's wonderful to see you young guys tackling such a big issue as this. It's becoming more and more relevant, I think, especially over the last year. And it's great to see you guys getting involved. So thank you for the opportunity to speak to you guys today.
Yes.
Thank you, you guys. Thank you, everybody. And you all are welcome to our next meetings. We have meetings the first and third Saturday of the month. This is our last official meeting. We will have like an end of 2020 party in the third Saturday of December to celebrate this year's ending. But we will have formal meetings again in January, and you all are welcome to join us in our next year's meeting. You can always reach out at social media, keep in touch in social media, or email us, and we're gonna be happy to share all the information with you. It was a pleasure to see everybody today, and I hope you guys have a great day, great afternoon, or good night from our friends